You know that feeling when you're living in a world that just doesn't quite get you? Like you're simultaneously too much and not enough for everyone around you? Well, here's something that might completely shift your perspective. If you have both ADHD and autism, TBAM, what we call AUDHD, your brain isn't broken. It's actually operating with a unique set of cognitive patterns that create some pretty incredible combinations of abilities. We're talking about experiences that researchers are just beginning to understand when ADHD and autism combine, creating ways of thinking that are genuinely distinctive. And the emerging science behind this dual neurodivergence, it's reshaping everything we thought we knew. Today, we're diving into 12 incredible AuDHD strengths that make you genuinely unique in this world. These aren't just feel-good platitudes. These are observable patterns that Dr. Michelle Maury and other researchers have documented when ADHD and autism combine in one brain. And number 8, it's the one that most people get completely wrong about AuDHD individuals. So stick around because by the end of this video, you're going to see your neurodivergent brain in a completely different light. Let's start with something that sounds almost too good to be true: enhanced pattern recognition that goes way beyond typical observation skills. Here's what's fascinating. Bathurst. Research from the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders shows that individuals with both conditions often demonstrate superior pattern recognition abilities compared to single diagnosis groups. While neurotypical brains process information linearly, and pure ADHD or autism brains excel in their own specific ways, ADHD brains appear to synthesize seemingly unrelated information into insights that nobody else sees coming. Picture this: you walk into a meeting, and within minutes, you've picked up on the subtle tension between two colleagues. Notice the way the boss's voice changed when discussing the budget, and somehow connected these observations to predict exactly how the project's going to unfold. Your coworkers think you're psychic, but really, your brain's just processing dozens of micro patterns simultaneously that others completely miss. This isn't just being observant. This is advanced cognitive processing that gives you a serious advantage in reading situations, predicting outcomes, and seeing solutions before problems even fully emerge. But wait until you hear about what happens when hyperfocus meets special interests. Here's where it gets really wild: the hyperfocus special interest power combo. When ADHD hyperfocus meets autistic special interests, something remarkable happens that neither condition can achieve alone. Dr. Julia Ruckledge's research on attention and autism suggests that this combination can lead to accelerated skill acquisition in specific domains. Basically, you can develop expertise incredibly quickly. Think about it this way: pure ADHD gives you the rocket fuel of hyperfocus, but it's often scattered and unpredictable. Pure autism gives you the sustained engine of special interests, but it might lack that explosive intensity. But when you combine them, you get a dual engine system where one provides the explosive fuel and the other provides the navigation. You can literally become an expert in complex subjects faster than people who've been studying them for decades. And here's the crazy part: you often don't even realize you're doing it because it feels so natural. And this is where it gets really interesting. Number 3 is something that sounds like a contradiction, but makes perfect sense when you understand ADHD: simultaneous detail focus and systems thinking. While pure autistic brains excel at details and pure ADHD brains jump to big pictures. ADHD brains can experience both perspectives simultaneously in a way that's genuinely unique. Research on cognitive flexibility in dual diagnosis individuals suggests you can zoom in on microscopic details while maintaining awareness of massive, complex systems. You're the person who notices that one pixel is off in a design, while simultaneously understanding how that tiny flaw affects the entire user experience across multiple platforms. While most brains tend to favor either detail focus or big picture thinking, you're running both processes in parallel, creating insights that seem to come from nowhere, but are actually the result of this unique cognitive dual processing. Most people don't realize that this leads to something even more remarkable. Here's something that'll make you rethink everything about multitasking. ADHD brains may actually be uniquely suited for managing multiple tasks effectively. Now, before you roll your eyes, hear me out. Dr. Earl Miller's MIT research shows that typical brains struggle with multitasking, and he's right for most neurotypes. But emerging research on dual neurodivergence suggests something different might be happening with ADHD brains. Your brain literally needs multiple streams of stimulation to function optimally. While a neurotypical person gets overwhelmed trying to write an email while listening to music and planning dinner, your brain thrives on it. You're not scattered, menpuet. You're operating at full capacity. One AuDHD researcher described it perfectly. When I have only one thing to focus on, it's like trying to power a city with a nuclear reactor. Suddenly, there's too much energy and nowhere for it to go. But give me 5 things at once, suddenly I'm efficient, creative, and completely in my element. But here's what really surprised me. Let's talk about creative problem solving that literally breaks conventional approaches. While ADHD brains are known for creativity and autistic brains for systematic thinking, AuDHD brains create solutions that are both wildly innovative and systematically sound. Research on divergent thinking in neurodivergent populations shows that dual diagnosis individuals often generate solutions that other neurotypes simply cannot conceive. You're the person who looks at an impossible problem and thinks, well, what if we completely ignore how this is supposed to work and try something totally different? But unlike pure ADHD creativity that might be brilliant but impractical, or pure autistic innovation that might be systematic but conventional, your solutions are both revolutionary and they actually work. You're essentially running creative chaos through a systematic filter, producing ideas that are so outside the box that they create entirely new approaches. And this is where things get really intriguing. Here's a strength that sounds almost too precise to be real: enhanced emotional pattern recognition that feels like having a sixth sense. AuDHD brains combine the ADHD sensitivity to emotional stimulation with the autistic attention to behavioral patterns, creating an ability to read emotional landscapes that's remarkably sophisticated. You don't just notice that someone's upset, you can predict who's going to be upset, about what, and approximately when, sometimes days in advance. Research on social cognition in dual diagnosis individuals shows enhanced ability to detect emotional cues and predict social dynamics. You're picking up on micro expressions, voice tone changes, behavioral shifts, and environmental factors, then processing all of this through both your hypersensitive emotional radar and your pattern recognition systems. The result? You often understand emotional dynamics before others even recognize them. But what happens when structure meets flexibility? That's next. Number 7 is something that sounds like a contradiction: structured flexibility. While pure autistic brains crave routine and pure ADHD brains need novelty, AuDHD brains have figured out how to need both simultaneously. And this creates a capability that's absolutely game-changing. You create systems and routines that are so well designed they can accommodate constant change and innovation. Think of it like being an expert jazz musician. You know the structure so well that you can improvise brilliantly within it. Studies on executive functioning in dual neurodivergence show the development of what researchers call adaptive frameworks, structures that provide predictability while allowing for stimulation and novelty. You're basically building organized flexibility, and it works better than either pure structure or pure spontaneity ever could. Now here's the one that most people get completely wrong. Here's the one most people get completely wrong about AuDHD. You're not less social. You're selectively social in ways that create deeper, more meaningful connections. While society often sees the combination of ADHD impulsivity and autistic social differences as social deficits, research on social relationships in dual diagnosis individuals tells a completely different story. Dr. Wen Lawson's research on autistic social patterns, combined with studies on ADHD social functioning, suggests that AuDHD individuals form fewer relationships overall, but the relationships they do form are significantly deeper, more authentic, and longer lasting than typical social connections. You're not avoiding social connection, you're just refusing to waste energy on superficial interactions. Your brain literally filters for genuine connection, meaning the people in your life are there because they truly get you and you truly get them. While neurotypical people might have hundreds of acquaintances, you have a carefully curated group of meaningful relationships that provide more emotional support and understanding than most people experience. And when crisis hits, that's when things get really interesting. Let's talk about crisis management capabilities that would make emergency responders jealous. When chaos hits, AuDHD brains don't just cope, they actually perform exceptionally well. The combination of ADHD's ability to think fast under pressure and autism's systematic approach to problem solving creates a crisis response that's both lightning quick and incredibly thorough. Research on stress response in neurodivergent populations shows that some AuDHD individuals consistently outperform others in high-stress, complex problem-solving scenarios. While others are still processing what's happening, you've already identified the core issues. generated multiple solutions, and started implementing the most effective one. You're the person everyone wants on their team when everything goes wrong, because your brain actually performs better under pressure. One researcher described it as finally having enough stimulation for optimal cognitive functioning. But here's what's truly remarkable. Here's something that sounds almost like magic: information synthesis that creates knowledge from seemingly thin air. AuDHD brains don't just collect information, they create entirely new understanding by connecting data points that no one else even realizes are related. Studies on cognitive processing and dual neurodivergence show what researchers call emergent knowledge creation, the ability to combine disparate pieces of information into insights that are genuinely novel and valuable. You're the person who reads 3 unrelated articles, watches a documentary about something completely different, overhears a conversation at a coffee shop, and suddenly has a breakthrough understanding about a complex problem you've been working on. Your brain's constantly running background processes, looking for connections and patterns across everything you encounter, creating a kind of intellectual synthesis that transforms random information into genuine insight. Most people don't realize this creates something even more powerful. Number 11 is something that gives you almost unfair advantages in our modern world: adaptive resilience that's literally built into your operating system. Living as AuDHD means your brain's been developing and practicing coping strategies your entire life, creating a level of resilience that's genuinely impressive. Research on resilience in neurodivergent populations shows what could be called compound resilience. The combination of ADHD's adaptability and autism's systematic persistence creates a unique form of mental toughness. You've spent your life navigating a world that wasn't designed for your brain, which means you've developed problem-solving skills, emotional regulation strategies, and adaptive thinking that most people never need to develop. You're not just surviving in a neurotypical world, you're thriving by constantly innovating new ways to work with your brain rather than against it. And finally, here's the ultimate AuDHD strength: authentic innovation that challenges conventional thinking. While other neurotypes might innovate within existing frameworks, AuDHD brains create entirely new paradigms by refusing to accept that this is just how things are done. While we don't have comprehensive statistics on AuDHD representation in innovation fields yet, emerging research suggests notable presence among disruptive entrepreneurs and paradigm-shifting artists. You're not just thinking outside the box, you're questioning why the box exists in the first place. Your combination of systematic thinking and creative approaches, detail obsession and big picture vision, social selectivity, and deep empathy creates innovations that are both revolutionary and deeply human. You're literally designed to see what others can't see and create what others can't imagine. So there you have it, 12 genuine strengths that emerge specifically from the AuDHD brain. From enhanced pattern recognition to innovation that challenges entire industries, your neurodivergent mind isn't a collection of deficits to be managed. It's a sophisticated cognitive system with unique capabilities and remarkable potential. If you resonated with number 8 about selective social connection, you're definitely going to want to check out our next video about why AuDHD individuals form the deepest, most authentic relationships and how you can leverage this strength in your personal and professional life. Remember, you're not too much or not enough. You're exactly the right amount of extraordinary that this world needs. Hit that like button if this changed how you see your AuDHD brain, and subscribe for more content that celebrates neurodivergent strengths.